The allure of the wilderness had always been irresistible to me. It was a place where the relentless noise of civilization faded into the tranquil murmurs of nature. Seeking a respite from the chaos of daily life, I embarked on a solo backcountry hike deep into the heart of the woods. The plan was simple: disconnect, unwind, and let the forest's solitude clear my mind. The journey began under a canopy of blue, the sun filtering through the leaves in dappled patterns. The forest was alive with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves, a symphony that spoke of undisturbed peace. I ventured off the beaten path, confident in my wilderness skills and equipped with a trusty GPS. The deeper I went, the more I felt the weight of the world lifting from my shoulders. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I found a serene spot by a gently flowing river. The water was crystal clear, revealing the smooth pebbles and darting fish beneath its surface. With practiced ease, I caught a trout, its scales shimmering like a mosaic of silver and blue. That night, under a blanket of stars, I cooked my catch over a crackling fire. The smoky aroma blended with the earthy scent of the forest, creating a rustic perfume. Lying back, I gazed up at the celestial spectacle above. My thoughts wandered freely, drifting from the mundane to the profound, journeying past the confines of our world and into the vast, starry expanse of the universe. I watched mesmerized as mysterious lights and orbs seemed to dance across the sky, moving in harmony with the universe's unseen vibrations. But then, a sound sliced through the night, snapping me back to reality. A high-pitched, sinister laugh. It was so jarring, so out of place in the tranquil wilderness, that I sat bolt upright. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained my ears, questioning whether it was real or a figment of my imagination. The laugh came again, this time further away, echoing eerily through the trees. I tried to convince myself it was just an animal, perhaps a strange nocturnal bird, but unease gnawed at me. Despite my attempts to dismiss it, sleep eluded me, and when it finally came, it was fitful and filled with unsettling dreams. Dawn broke with a chorus of birdsong. I rose, eager to shake off the remnants of a restless night. The morning air was crisp and invigorating, filled with the promise of a new day. I ate a quick breakfast and set out, determined to cover good ground before noon. But the forest, which had seemed so welcoming, now felt different. The trees cast long, gnarled shadows that twisted and turned in the morning light, creating unsettling shapes. The breeze carried a faint, unidentifiable odor that grew stronger with each step I took. It was a stench of decay, pungent and invasive. Curiosity and a growing sense of dread led me to the source, a deer, but not as nature intended. It hung from a tree branch, its body grotesquely manipulated into a position that screamed of human interference. No animal could have done this. The sight sent a shiver down my spine. I scanned the area, suddenly aware of how vulnerable I was. Alone, deep in the woods, with no one else around. Or so I thought. I hurried away from the macabre scene, but my mind raced with dark thoughts. Who or what could have done this, and why? The forest no longer felt like a sanctuary, but a sinister labyrinth, hiding unknown dangers. My unease deepened when I stumbled upon another chilling sight. A group of squirrels, arranged in a similar gruesome fashion as the deer. This was no coincidence. The memory of the previous night's laughter echoed in my mind, a sinister soundtrack to the horror unfolding around me. I realized then that I was not alone. Someone, or something, was in the woods with me, watching, playing a twisted game. The thought propelled me into action. I needed to leave, to escape this nightmare. I pulled out my GPS, marking the fastest route back to civilization. My hands trembled as I focused on the glowing screen, plotting a path through the dense thicket and tangled undergrowth. As I hastened through the woods, every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig sent jolts of fear through me. The forest, once a place of solace, now felt like a maze designed by a malevolent mind. The once friendly chirps and whispers of the woods now seemed to carry a mocking tone, as if the very trees were conspiring against me. The silence was oppressive, suffocating. It was as if the forest was holding its breath, watching my every move. I pushed on, driven by a primal urge to survive. The sun, once a comforting presence, now cast an eerie glow through the dense canopy, creating shadows that twisted and writhed like dark, sinuous creatures. As evening approached, exhaustion set in. Despite my fear, I knew I couldn't keep moving through the night. I found a small clearing and set up a makeshift camp. My hands shook as I tried to light a fire, the simple task made difficult by my frayed nerves. Finally, the fire caught, its flickering light a small island of comfort in the encroaching darkness. I huddled close to the flames, trying to convince myself that I was safe, but the forest seemed to close in around me, the darkness pressing against the fire's light. Then, the sound started again, the cracking of branches, the rustling of leaves, all around me. My heart raced, every sense on high alert, and then, the laughter returned, more chilling than before. It was no longer a distant echo, but a clear, taunting cackle that seemed to come from multiple directions. I was surrounded. Gripping my knife tightly, I shone my flashlight into the trees, but the beam seemed feeble against the oppressive blackness. "Get out of here! I'm warning you!" I shouted into the darkness, my voice quivering with fear. The laughter only grew louder, a cacophony of madness that seemed to mock my desperation. My flashlight flickered, its light dimming, struggling against the overwhelming darkness. In its dying glow, I caught glimpses of figures, shadowy, indistinct shapes that flitted just beyond the firelight's reach. Then, a voice, slithering through the night like a serpent, whispered, "Nobody plays in our woods anymore. Nobody, and we can't let nobody leave." Panic surged through me as the laughter crescendoed into a frenzy. I yelled, a primal scream of fear and defiance, ready to defend myself against the unseen terror. But as suddenly as it had begun, the night went silent. The oppressive feeling lifted, and I was alone once again. The fire crackled innocently, as if nothing had happened. I didn't sleep that night. As soon as the first light of dawn touched the sky, I abandoned my camp and fled. I followed the GPS blindly, stumbling through the underbrush, driven by a single thought: to escape. The forest seemed endless, but finally, I emerged, bursting through the tree line into the bright light of day. My car was a beacon of safety, sitting untouched at the edge of the woods. I threw myself inside, locking the doors before I even started the engine. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see those shadowy figures pursuing me. But there was nothing, just the dense forest receding into the distance. The drive home was a blur. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion, replaying the events over and over. The laughter, the sinister figures, the eerie voice in the night, they haunted me, echoing in the recesses of my mind. Once home, the familiarity of my surroundings did little to ease my unease. Every shadow seemed to hide a lurking figure, every noise a potential threat. I jumped at the slightest sound, my nerves frayed and on edge. In the days that followed, I tried to rationalize what had happened. Perhaps it was all just a series of strange coincidences, my mind playing tricks on me in the isolation of the wilderness. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. The laughter, the arranged animals, the sinister figures. They were too real, too terrifying to be mere figments of my imagination. I considered going to the authorities, but what would I tell them? That I was stalked by unseen entities in the woods? That I heard laughter and saw things that vanished with the dawn? They would think I was crazy. So, I kept it to myself, a dark secret that gnawed at me. Nights were the worst. In the darkness of my room, I would lie awake, listening to the sounds of the night, half expecting to hear that sinister laughter again. Sleep, when it came, was fitful and filled with nightmares. The experience in the woods changed me. I became withdrawn, reluctant to venture outside, especially into the wilderness. The once comforting embrace of nature now felt threatening, filled with unseen dangers. Friends and family noticed the change in me. They asked questions, concerned about my well-being. I brushed off their inquiries with vague explanations about being overworked and stressed. How could I tell them the truth? How could I explain the unexplainable? As time passed, the intensity of my fear gradually faded, but it never completely left. The laughter still haunted my dreams, a chilling reminder of the terror I had experienced. The woods, once a place of peace and solitude, now held a sinister whisper, a dark echo of a nightmare that lingered in the back of my mind. And so, I live with the memories, the unanswered questions. What were those figures? What did they want? Why did they torment me? Perhaps some mysteries are better left unsolved, some secrets better left hidden in the shadows of the wild.
Like and subscribe for more spooky